U.S. will send second aircraft carrier to Middle East very soon, Trump. Putin says Russia backing Iran's defense of its sovereignty. Change in power in Iran would be the best thing that could happen, Trump. U.S. military preparing for possible weeks-long operations against Iran. The United States is increasing military pressure on Iran. President Donald Trump has announced that a second aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, will soon be deployed to the Middle East as tensions continue over Iran's nuclear and missile programs. Speaking at the White House, Trump said the carrier would ensure the U.S. is prepared if needed, describing it as a, quote, very big force. He expressed optimism about ongoing negotiations, but warned that it would be a, quote, bad day for Iran if no agreement is reached. Trump also suggested that a change in Iran's government could bring positive outcomes. The deployment is part of a broader military buildup in the region. The USS Abraham Lincoln, guided missile destroyers, fighter jets, and surveillance aircraft have already been sent in recent weeks. Trump's remarks follow his meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who said he expects a strong deal but insists any agreement must also limit Iran's ballistic missile program, a condition Tehran has rejected. Netanyahu has continued to call for military readiness after Israel's brief war with Iran in June, during which the United States struck 3 Iranian nuclear sites in an operation known as Midnight Hammer. Trump later claimed the strikes completely destroyed those facilities. The latest indirect talks between Washington and Tehran are the first since that conflict, which had paused earlier negotiations aimed at replacing the nuclear agreement that Trump withdrew from during his first term. Russian President Vladimir Putin has congratulated Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian on the 47th anniversary of the Islamic Revolution, reaffirming Moscow's support for Tehran. In his message, Putin described relations between Russia and Iran as friendly and rooted in good neighborliness. He stated that Russia supports Iran's efforts to protect its sovereignty, defend its legitimate interests, and maintain national security amid what he called a critical international environment. Putin also expressed confidence that the two nations will continue to strengthen their comprehensive strategic partnership. The message concluded with well wishes for President Pezeshkian's health and success, along with happiness and prosperity for the Iranian people. In a significant escalation of U.S.-Iran tensions, President Donald Trump has stated that a change in Iran's leadership would be the best thing that could happen. This remark follows his announcement of deploying a second aircraft carrier group to the Middle East. Speaking to reporters after visiting troops at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, Trump emphasized that Iran's nuclear program is just one of several concerns. He highlighted the need to address Iran's ballistic missile capabilities and its support for groups like Hamas and Hezbollah. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who met with Trump in Washington this week, has echoed these concerns, advocating for any agreement with Iran to encompass limitations on its missile program and cessation of support for proxy groups. The deployment of the USS Gerald R. Ford to the Middle East, joining the USS Abraham Lincoln already in the region, signifies a substantial U.S. military presence aimed at pressuring Tehran. Amid these developments, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has warned that any U.S. attack would trigger a regional war, further intensifying the situation. If you prefer, I can adjust the tone to be more concise, more dramatic, or tailored for a specific audience. Here is a simplified version in a calm, authoritative AI male news anchor tone. President Donald Trump has stated that a change in Iran's leadership would be the best thing that could happen, as the U.S. considers military options amid escalating tensions with Tehran. This announcement follows Trump's confirmation of deploying a second aircraft carrier group, the USS Gerald R. Ford, to the Middle East. The carrier will join the USS Abraham Lincoln, enhancing the U.S. military presence in the region. The United States military is developing contingency plans for possible extended operations against Iran if President Donald Trump authorizes military action, according to U.S. officials. The potential campaign could last for weeks and may target not only nuclear facilities, but also key Iranian government and security infrastructure. Officials warn that such action could heighten the risk of a broader regional conflict and place U.S. forces in greater danger. Military planning is taking place alongside diplomatic efforts. American and Iranian representatives recently met in Oman to revive negotiations over Tehran's nuclear program. President Trump described the talks as difficult, cautioning that failure to reach an agreement could bring very traumatic consequences. Meanwhile, the Pentagon has increased its presence in the region, deploying an aircraft carrier, fighter jets, guided missile destroyers, and thousands of troops to strengthen both offensive and defensive capabilities. U.S. officials expect Iran would retaliate if strikes occur, potentially leading to prolonged exchanges. Analysts note that Iran's missile arsenal poses a serious threat to American forces and bases across the Middle East. The White House says the president is weighing all options and will decide based on national security interests, while the Pentagon has declined to comment on specific operational plans. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has warned that any attack on its territory would prompt strikes against U.S. bases in the region, including those in Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. Tehran has indicated it is open to negotiating limits on its nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief, but has rejected linking those talks to restrictions on its missile capabilities.